welcome back to Toyota Sports Talk, joined now by Washington Post sports reporter Jake Russell. Jake, as always, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you as always. And obviously, the Washington Post doing some excellent journalism, excellent reporting again. Another pretty damning report against the Washington football team and team owner Daniel Snyder released early this morning. What was your initial reaction to what your colleagues reported?
My initial reaction was this was a little more damning than the previous story that was reported back in July. This is the first one to directly implicate Snyder in anything. It didn't describe inappropriate interactions with cheerleaders, his executive assistants, and basically the overall way he treated people in the building. It's a little more far-reaching than the previous one. The writers in this story spoke to more than 100 current and former employees, so it's not like they just spoke to one or two people and it's going off of word of mouth, but that it was a very thorough report, and it's worth reading every word.
Thorough is an amazing word, because I was just going to say, this report was detailed. It literally took me about 10 to 15 minutes to read the entire report, kind of digest what was being said, go through it over and over again. I mean, you're exactly right of how thorough this is. It just explained kind of the detail of what these reporters went through, all the sources, all the different talking with attorneys in the back channels. I mean, this was true, solid, good journalism.
Yeah, I agree completely. That's why reporting is so important in this world, because you have people who reach out to many sources, have different vetting processes, and it's not like it's just word of mouth. It's a very thorough and comprehensive compilation of facts, information, checking, double checking, triple checking, checking one source and checking the person that's being implicated, trying to get their response and not just, attacking them. It's actually getting information from both sides as much as possible.
I look at this as a whole. Team owner Daniel Snyder, obviously he has lieutenants per se, people under him that are implicated. But again, stuff usually flows downhill, as they say. I mean, how much can team owner Daniel Snyder kind of take the fall for what's going on here, or this culture and this just terrible treatment of women?
That's the really big unanswered question right now, and it's to be determined right now. I think he's going to have to think of a way to respond to this, although according to the story, he offered no comment on the allegations that were provided to him. He did not speak on that. He actually just joined Twitter this month, which is an interesting time to join Twitter. I'm not sure he's actually going to use that platform, considering it's a locked account and no one can see anything he says or writes or anything like that. That's the big question that we have coming up, is what happens to Dan Snyder? Does he stay on board? Does he address these? Is he sincere when he said previously in July that this is not acceptable and this is not the culture going forward with this organization?
Now, we don't really know for sure if Daniel Snyder ordered the making of that video or those videos in 2008, 2010, saying, Larry Michael, according to somebody that worked for Larry Michael, said that Larry Michael said this video was for Daniel Snyder, but we don't know if Daniel Snyder actually ordered that. The thing that really stood out to me was the interaction Daniel Snyder had with a former cheerleader during a 2004 charity event. Snyder telling her that he and the team's eye doctor had a suite at the hotel and suggested that she and the doctor go to the room to get to know each other better. That right there, that really struck a chord with me and really kind of opened my eyes that, hey, maybe Daniel Snyder is, involved in this terrible culture and treatment of women and kind of looking at women as almost objects in a sense.
Yeah, that's a very damning account, and that's why that's at the beginning of the story, because it's directly implicating him with inappropriate behavior, even though it was 16 years ago. It's still, shouldn't behave that way. If you're the owner of an organization, a multi-billion-dollar organization, you should not be treating people that way and, talking to them in that manner, especially when you represent such a big, I guess, in a way, an organization bigger than himself.
Yeah.
If you're a representative of something that important, you just cannot act that. You can't act that way anyways, but let alone when you're in that position. It makes people think, oh, is that how it is with everybody else there? And it turns out it was pretty substantial over the last 20 years.
So obviously you're involved in social media like I am, and I was on Twitter, just reading some comments in reaction to this. And there's some people saying, again, not me, but other people out there saying that this is almost like a witch hunt to get Daniel Snyder to sell the team. What is your response to that, and what is your take on that kind of point of view?
I don't know how many people who reached out to our reporters on their own care whether Snyder owns the team or not. I think they care more about getting the message out as to what happened with them personally during their experiences with the team or their friends or family that were on the team. I don't know exactly every single person they spoke to, but a substantial amount of the people they spoke to worked for the organization. And everything they described is just, it's not good. They don't benefit in any way with Snyder owning or not owning the team. I feel like they felt once that story last month came out about the sexual harassment at Ashburn came out, I feel like they felt this is my time to describe what happened, and I'm not the only one. And in a way, I'm sure they felt comfort is not the right word, but they felt like they're not alone in having felt that way working there. And it just gave them a platform to tell our reporters, this is what happened to me, and this is how it went down, and you're free to use this information because it's true on my behalf.
How's this all going to end?
2020 has thrown curveball after curveball after curveball, so I'd be lying if I said I knew what would happen because
Right.
there's just been so strange and there have been so many different twists and turns. I'm honestly bracing myself for anything right now at this point because this year has just been so strange and there's just been so many new developments seemingly every week, every month. That's the big question is what's going to happen to Dan Snyder. Is he going to maintain ownership? Is he going to be forced to sell? We all know he wants to maintain ownership of the team. And obviously, why wouldn't you want to maintain ownership of an NFL organization? But that's the big question going forward is what happens to Dan Snyder.
Sure is. As always, appreciate your time and your insight. Washington Post sports reporter Jake Russell. Again, thank you again.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, much more to come right here on Toyota Sports Talk. Stay with us.